Good morning, a warm welcome from New York. Thank you so much for joining me today. I see some fabulous friends in the house, so I want to do a big shout out to our friends. Let's see, Evelyn is here, who's part of our editorial course. Welcome, Evelyn. I see Colette here, who's an incredible hairdresser, so super successful and done some incredible things. And I'm seeing lots of fabulous friends here. So welcome. Hairbender, that's pretty cool. And let me know where you're watching from, please. And let me know, what do you want from your career? Because today we're going to dive into a really juicy subject, which I know you're going to enjoy, which is how to start making 2,000 plus a day by working less, even if you've tried everything. So thank you so much for being here, and hi to our friends in Canada. We love that. So welcome. So one of my students who I've been working with for quite some time, he called me a couple of weeks ago and he said, Viv, I've had my first $3,000 day. And it's like, sweet, how did you do that? And do you feel stressed? And did you have quite a few cocktails at the end of the day? So that was an interesting conversation. But let's get serious about this subject because it is so very important. I have two special guests who I'm going to introduce you to today. Two wonderful ladies who are working in their own businesses, and they're going to share their discoveries and their learns, which I know you'll relate to. Has this happened to you? Does uncertainty cramp your style? So when you think about that, I know how that's played out for me when I'm looking at uncertainty. Has it cramped my style? When I look at it, I go, okay, 40 years of experience. I can be in a situation that can really challenge me. And inside, I can be freaking out. And on the outside, I have my nice smile. I know to breathe deeply. And I know that if I touch the hair, I go to home ground. And when I have my hands in the hair, I feel more confident than just standing back. But uncertainty is a really scary thing in life, isn't it? Because what if everything that you know and it doesn't work? The hair can really surprise us. What if we misread that client? Everything we thought she was going to say yes to, halfway through the haircut, she starts to change her mind. It's like, whoa, what just happened here? You're on a photo shoot and the weather changes, and now all of a sudden the idea that you have is no longer going to work because of the environment. You're doing a wedding. The hair starts to change because of the environment. There's so many variables which can create uncertainty. But one thing I know for sure is when you have an amazing 5-star consultation, when you have very solid technique, that you know that system produces that result, and you have a broad repertoire, so you're not always dipping into the same pot and exhausting the idea. When you have strong skill, you have a place for creativity to sit, because it's sitting not on quicksand, but it's sitting on the rock of knowledge. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And we're going to do a little inventory. So anything that you can relate to here, pop it down in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you. So hi, Susan, Michelle, Joni, Maya, Marion, welcome. Russ, welcome from Brooklyn. Great. A neighbor, no less. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is, has the pressure of time turned you into machine? And at this point, I'm going to bring in two of my fabulous guests because they are in the trenches doing hair. And I want to welcome Sarah and Lisa. Welcome, Sarah and Lisa.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. So let's look at our subject matter that we have here, which is, has the pressure of time turned you into machine? Sarah, how has this been for you in your career, your past and now your present?
There was a time in my career where really the clock and my schedule dictated the kind of work I did. You know, I wasn't as creative because I didn't feel like I had the time to be as creative. I was a single mom, and I had to make a certain amount of money, and that was really my focus. And I really, truly, if I'm honest, it was about 9 years that it was like that. And I was starting to feel really burned out. I still enjoyed my job because I do think that we have a really specific career, but, I was losing the creativity and the joy behind my chair.
Yes. And Sarah has been very successful in the business for how many years, Sarah?
32.
32.
I'll be 33 in November.
Sarah's been to me for a live workshop here at my studio, and she went through the entire designer program. As a very talented hairdresser, that wasn't enough. She wanted to up her game. And sometimes it's not about the new way to cut a bob or learning how to do a butterfly haircut or a mermaid haircut or an oval haircut. And I go, what? Isn't that just a layered haircut with facial framing? And it's like, am I missing something here? Do I know what a mermaid is? Like, oh, I don't know. So Sarah is really, super talented, and she just wanted to up her game, and up her game she surely has. So let's look at the next thing. How do you determine if the style is going to work? So Lisa is in the designer program. Lisa is in California. So thank you for getting up so crazy early for me. And Lisa, again, a very successful hairdresser. And she's now in the second term of the designer program. So she's been through all of her consultation, face shape design, and now she's going through fundamentals. So Lisa, how do you determine the style is going to work? So how did you before, and what's new now in the way that I've been training you?
I believe for years, I would just work with the customer for what their hair type is. So what would be easy for that customer to style when she got home or he got home, and never took face shape into consideration. Right out of school, I apprenticed, and they talked about face shape, but they didn't go into any detail. They didn't break it down horizontally or vertically. And I think that's been a big game changer for me. I've combined not just what they're able to do with their hair type, but bring the face shape into it too.
And how have your clients responded now that you have a deeper dive into the consultation?
Oh, they're very happy. And we find out something about each other that we never knew. And some of my clients have been with me for over 20 years. And it's nice to keep it fresh and keep it going. And it keeps you from burning out because you get new information every time they visit. We just change it up a little bit.
That's wonderful, wonderful. And I think assumption can be a very, very dangerous thing. I've had a massage therapist who's come to my home for years, and I do her hair. And one time I thought, well, I'll just do the consultation that we're going to be talking about today. I just do it with her, right? I know her. Assumption with, I think, a whisper of arrogance. I know. And I know what's best for her, right? And so she fills out the consultation form, and I go, what? You want purple in your hair? Oh, yes, she said, I'd love that. And she was looking around, I had a mannequin out, and it was a little edgy. She said, oh, I'd love that. So because she was in the healing business and massage, I thought she should be 7 shades of gray, which she was. And she should have something very clinical and hair in a ponytail. I couldn't believe it. So there I am putting purple in her hair, having no idea what I'm doing. But guys, I'm certainly not a great colorist. And she loved it. And I thought, go figure. So assumption can be the kiss of death, because not only can service dollars be walking out, but also service dollars walking in. And that's a huge, huge thing to consider. So let's move on here in terms of how you determine where your style is going to be. And we're going to be talking about voguing around the face and the importance of that. But the next thing is that we want to look at, and did I jump a slide? No, I didn't. It's easy to feel you're getting left behind. The overwhelm of keeping up with hot trends on social media is just too much for you. Sarah, how do you feel about that?
Oh, definitely. And I have a funny story. I love doing bridal hair and updos and things like that. And I guess I guess it was probably like 7 years ago or so. I did a lot of updos and special occasion hair. And then they started adding braids in. And I was like, oh my God, like now I don't know how to do hair at all. I mean, all of a sudden I went from feeling like I was in demand, I could do it, I was good, I was solid, my foundation skills were there. And then all of a sudden it's like, what? Like I have to start braiding? And so I freaked out. And then I felt like I was back at like ground zero and back in beauty school. And I didn't even know how to do hair anymore. It was crazy.
Okay, confession. I want to know from you guys, how many of you have gone out to Pinterest, right? And you've seen this, boom, and it's done, right? This amazing hairstyle. It's at the back, and it's like, boom. I'm like, whoa, what just happened there, right? So I've done things as clever as I've taken the video and I've slowed the whole thing down. And I'm going, okay, so she went from here to here. All right, then what happened? There's an edit. And they went to there. So I spent on a 15-second video hours trying to dissect it because it's brilliant. And I think I want to be able to do that. So then I do my version of it, which is okay, but it's not the carbon copy of it. And I'm thinking, if a client, it would be a photo shoot or a client sitting in my chair says, I want that look, it's going to be a bit tricky because it's not the same fabric, which is the first thing. So think about this as a fashion designer. If I was wearing silk right now, and you give me a reference of burlap, now, can I make the same shape? Yeah. Will it hang the same? No. Burlap doesn't hang. It's stiff. Chiffon and soft and drapey is going to float. It's going to move. So, you always, as a hairdresser, Lisa said, looking at the fabric. What is that fabric of the hair? What can it do? What can't it do? And how much is that client prepared to work at it in order to maintain it? Because you can be so seduced like I was by a Pinterest thing that I thought, oh, that's easy. I can do that. Where clearly 3 hours later, I could not. And I was like ready to, actually I did. I threw the mannequin on the floor. I had a little temper tantrum and I said, I don't like hair anymore. And I went out and I did some gardening. So, we're all in the same boat together, guys. It's how we navigate the overwhelm. And I do want to caution you to the overwhelm. And we were having a conversation about this earlier. Did you know that the average person, they say that it's now 70% of people in the United States spend an average of 2 hours on social media a day? Well, if you do the math on that, that equals 30 days of the year, which Lisa said, oh my gosh, that's a month of your life on social. That is fine if it brings you business, if it brings you joy, if it fulfills you. But if it's a little addiction and it's taking you away from your goals, then there's a problem. So this now turns into a therapy session. Anyway, guys, just a piece of trivia there, but that's pretty powerful information, because when people say, oh, Viv, I don't have time to invest in la, 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 what does Sarah say about that?
I mean, do you really want me to say that?
Yeah, go for it.
It's bullshit. No excuses. If you say you have time, you don't have time, and you've been on social media for 2 hours, you've just robbed yourself of time.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. So it's how you manage your time that's important. And I think that's what's really important. The next part is, are you attracting the business that you want? Sarah, are you now attracting the business that you want?
Yes, I've completely shifted my business in the past year.
And describe the business before and describe it now.
So before, I was working 4 10 to 12-hour days. And I mean, I was fine. I was kind of just like doing my thing. That's how I've always done it, working, like getting people in, coming in early, staying late. And then I had an injury, and I had to have 2 knee surgeries, and it required me to be I had to revamp my career and the time that I spent behind the chair. So I was off for about a total of about 3 months last year. Yeah, about 3 months last year I was off for recovery and things like that. So, yeah, I had to, the way that I always thought about my business was earn more, work harder. And now my mantra is work less, make more. And or the same. I have to say that I have reduced my clientele by about 40%. I got rid of a lot of just like my haircut clients, and I'm focusing mostly on my chemical services and the, cut and finish. So I've just my time behind my chair is shorter, and then my earning potential is the same, if not more.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's amazing. So in some ways you've increased by 40% because you've,
Yes.
yeah, that's pretty amazing. Pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
and I wouldn't have had, and I've had the 3 price increases since I started your hair designer program.
Which is totally
3.
cool.
And nobody
That's
has said a word.
I love that. So let's look at the why then behind this, which I think is so very important. So the next thing is, what is the cost to your business when you play it safe? So when it's that word called compromise, and I know there are times you have to compromise, but when do you stop compromising because you're going against your core values and your belief? So for example, when I was at Fidel Sassoon's, they were very strict about what we could and couldn't do. We were the only game in town. So we had this incredible power that if you wouldn't have your hair cut in a certain way, we wouldn't do your hair and we would send you somewhere else. And it was so strict because if one did do that haircut and it walked past the artistic directors, and the salon I was in had 7 artistic directors that the client had to go past in order to check out, that was like going past the drill sergeant. I mean, my goodness, it was terrifying. So they would bring back the client and say, that is that to us, they would say that is not acceptable. We do not do work like that. And what's really interesting, I interviewed a gentleman last week, Nick, who worked for Fidel Sassoon's in New York. And he told this most amazing story about when he wanted to work for Fidel Sassoon's. And they had an application for 4 assistants. When he arrived there were 200 people lined up around the block waiting for a job for 4 assistants. Now, it's a great story, which I won't go into now, but the whole point is there were 200 people applying for a job and there were only 4 places. What are we hearing today? There's a shortage of staff. How do you get staff? How do you attract them? How do you keep them? How many people here today watching are salon owners? How many of you are having those challenges? How many of you went independent and now you can see there's potential to have a second chair within your space and start to build that new person? So how did we do it back then? We had incredible standards. And we had incredible vision, and we were on the cutting edge of what was happening. So I'm going to talk to you about that mindset today and how we can take that attitude and bring it in today's world of working. And I think that will be very powerful. So there is a cost to playing it safe. Sarah, what would you say for you would be an example of when you played it safe and you lost, and when you played it safe and you won? Give me an example.
Okay, so I played it safe and I lost. Well, I would say, so when I played it safe and I lost, that's a good question.
So you lost the client, or she didn't appreciate what you did, but you were playing it safe to please her or to accommodate your time?
Oh, well, definitely to accommodate my time. I feel like the cost was client satisfaction. I think, or just being like the cost of the clock dictating your life steals your joy. That's the cost, is the joy. And I feel like once I regained my confidence and reclaimed my joy, then everything else grew. Everything else was better. It made everything in my whole life better, not just behind my chair. So yeah. I don't know if that's an answer or not. But.
No, that's really great. Thank you. Thank you. So if any of these sound familiar to you, we're here to help you. So I want to ask you this, which has more value? So we're going to look at the mindset of taking an order. What are we doing today? Just a trim? Same as usual? Just a retouch? Oh, do you have any photos or styles you want? Now, what is the commonality here, Lisa? When you look at these traits and these qualities, where would you put them?
Where would I put them?
Yeah.
Well, I put them, as you say, an order taker, and I stopped doing that. I never really did it to that extent, and I can hear it and the other stylists around me in the salon I'm currently working in, we're all independents. But usually for years, my first question was, how did your last haircut work for you? Because if I don't know, if she didn't like it or he didn't like it, I don't want to do that again. So I don't like the order taking. It to me, it's almost insulting. If I were the customer and I sat down, what are we doing today? I think I understand that, because maybe I don't want what you did last time, or maybe I do want something new, but you can get there more succinctly instead of what are we doing today? It can take the client by surprise. Well, aren't you the stylist? What?
And you hear that in the salon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hear it a lot too. And I love, how did you feel about, how did your last hairstyle work out? Because that means you are open to learn. That also means you're open to have criticism. It means you're also open to celebrate a victory, and you're also there to problem solve. So that's a very brave, courageous statement, and I love it. What I do love even more, and this is where the value is, and let's just do a reality check, is that, you know, when you talk, okay, so let's talk about mindset first of all. Mindset is definitely when you are looking at the fashion, the lifestyle of that client. You know, is she working? Is she a trust fund lady? Does she have 3 jobs? Does she have children? La 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 la. Fashion, is it important? Is it not? Age, does she want to look her age? She doesn't want to look her age. Personality, whisper, scream, shout. The face shape, the body type, those are things you can't really meddle with too much in terms of change, unless you inspire the client to work out or inspire the client to make that change, right? Hair texture, that is what it is. And yes, we have the ability to truly manipulate hair texture and create some extraordinary things. Budgets always value not only the financial, but the time, and also having a lovely broad repertoire of style selection. So when you look at which has more value to you, this is what I've done with this. I've taken it and I've put it into a circle. So here, and I was inspired to do this by Tony Robbins, by the way, which I think is one of the greatest teachers out there. So when I thought about all the qualities I look for, from face shape to body type to the communication skills, my connecting skills, they all ideally should be equally balanced. Because when they're out of balance, we have a challenge. So if you imagine, if you have an even balance in your approach and your results, this wheel is going to roll through the salon very nicely. The wheels of your mind are going to work very, very nicely. But what happens if it is out of balance? That's going to be a real tricky wheel to wheel through your life. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to hit you. It's going to stop you. It's going to do so many jarring things, because maybe you don't think about the sensuality of the hairstyle, or the sensuality of how you blow dried, or the sensuality of where you put that parting. You know, hairstyles can have so much power in their personality. Maybe you didn't pay attention to face shape. Maybe you were so focused on the hair texture that you didn't take that into consideration. So all of these things create the bumpy wheel. And so when I'm training people, whether it's when you come to me for a live training, whether you go through the training program that Lisa and Sarah have been through, whether you come out at the end of this year, we're doing a photo shoot workshop in New York where we're taking only 8 people. And I'm going to be guiding them through all of this, because it produces extraordinary end results. So however I work with you, one-to-one private coaching, a digital course, the blend of coaching and a digital course, or live, I'm always looking at how is this going to play out. Sarah, for you, when you think about the consultation that you do now compared to where you before, I would imagine you're not the bumpy wheel anymore, are you?
No. And I mean, I think it is realistic. Sometimes we do have some bumps in the road. That's life, right?
Yes.
But we can eliminate a lot of it by being consistent in the questions and using the consultation form, voguing around the face, understanding, you know, the, you know,
Proportions.
yeah, proportion and all of that. And, you know, I feel like the consultation form and understanding all of these things, really it cuts through the chase basically. And it gets you to the conversation is so rich and it's so full. But it can get you to where you want to be as far as, understanding the goal of the client, you know,
Absolutely.
very quickly.
Yes. So this is what I call the elastic band result. We have an idea and you kind of stretch yourself out there, but then habit just brings you right back to where you were before. And then you go out there and you try something you saw on social media, you try it once, it's like, oh, that was scary, that was difficult, boom, you're back again. So there's this sort of elastic band of life. You try something, oh, it's uncomfortable, going back. Oh, I tried the razor, that was too scary, gonna go back. So this elastic band kind of mindset of bouncing and bouncing is not a way to build. And when you look at what makes for success in life, it is about slow. I know it's not TikTok. I'm sorry. It's slow. It's steady. It's consistent. You slowly work on new ideas. You apply baby steps. You're consistent and you're steady. And that produces results. And I have for years helped people that are famous. I've helped people now. Some of my students, my graduates are multimillionaires. They've won every award. I mean, I played at a very high level working with people. And it's always, how do I push them a bit further? And sometimes we have a blind spot and it needs somebody else to come in and go, you know what, if you do da, 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 boom. And I am really good at accelerating your learning, accelerating it. So when that elastic band is stretching you and I go, oh, they're going to go right back to there again. So what I say, for example, in the consultation that we teach, whether it be on a photo shoot, a workshop here, or in our digital programs, I will ask, you know, did you try the consultation this week? Oh, no, Viv, I got so busy. And then I say, I want you to take one client in the entire week. Don't tell me you can't do that. Just use it as a discovery. Use the client who's your visionary, who's your best fan. So you set yourself up to win. Don't put it on that difficult lady or when you're running behind. Maybe it's the last person of the day and try it. So Sarah, for yourself, when you were trying out the consultation for the first time, did you feel as though you had like a little bit of a sticky wheel? And what was that transition for you? Because you did so well so quickly.
So I gave it to every client. I just dove in. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna dive in, and I would spend the first I would give it to them when I saw them come in. I would give them the form. They would fill it out while I was finishing my client. And then when they sat down, so I went through it with every single client that I had. And I wanted to make it a habit of doing it. And really, once it's one of those things where you do something a couple times and you get good results, you want to keep doing it. Right. And so I was learning things about my clients. I was like, what? Like, your favorite thing is your wrists? Like, what are you talking about? You know, but they're like their eyes, like somebody who has hair and it's like a blanket on their face, but their eyes are their favorite feature. So let's open up your eye area. Let's show that off, you know? So I felt like as soon as when I first started doing it, I got those good results. And so it paved the way and I just kept it going.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. So guys, if you feel that we're speaking to you a truth that you can relate to, you're a salon owner and you just want to up the game of everybody else around you. You may be an independent. You're thinking about now, how do you add some other layers to your business and expand your business? Or what can you do to rethink about what you're doing? And do you have blind spots? Then clearly you're in the right place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you how to become so desirable that you become the best rated in town. And that's not just like some blast marketing statement. What I'm going to share with you, when you apply it, does transform you and your business. the joy of unlocking your creativity. Did you know that happy people are 30% more creative and 31% more productive? And Sarah spoke to that earlier in terms of your happy factor increased, didn't it?
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
Lisa, how is that working for you now? You're reinventing yourself.
Yes.
You are trying new things with your clients. How's your productivity and your happy factor?
Oh, the happy factor is definitely increased. And I am independent, so I schedule my own clients. So I give myself extra time now. I don't want to rush anymore. And having the ability to map, having the ability to have a detailed consultation with the client, I actually save time. And sometimes I'm running 10 minutes ahead because I'm relaxed and I have removed quite a bit of the uncertainty in what I'm doing. And that goes a long way. So yes, I am more creative. I wouldn't say risk taking because no one wants to know you're taking a risk with their hair. But I'm more comfortable trying a new technique or doing an entire haircut with a razor or finishing the hair differently than I would have, or simply changing someone's part or getting their hair off their face. It can be small, but dramatic and everyone's happy. So
Yes.
your goal is to be a day maker and you see your clients smiling as they walk out the door. It makes your day as well.
Absolutely. And of course, we all want this, how to get a client to say, no other hairdresser has given me the service I received today. I would imagine as you dive deeper into the training that I've given to you, you're starting to see that more and more and more. That's what I hear from most hairdressers. Lisa, would you agree with that point?
Absolutely.
And Sarah, for you?
Yeah, definitely. And when I was off work, I referred my clients to other stylists in my salon. So when I came back, they were I felt like I was just receiving gifts of compliments all day. They were just like, oh my God, thank God you're back. Like, there's just no one like you. And, and I was just so grateful. I don't know. I was just so grateful, to hear that and to get that kind of feedback.
That's wonderful. Client retention, what the nice client does not tell you. So what I know, and especially in the world of British hairdressing, where our clients can be a little bit more reserved and reserved and somewhat polite. If they don't like the hairstyle, they'll just go, oh, that's very nice, thank you. And they'll scurry off and you'll never see them again. And so in your mind, you're thinking, oh, they like that hairstyle, when in actual fact, they weren't telling the truth. They just didn't want to upset or offend you, but they're the one that really should be upset, right? They have a hairstyle they don't like. And so there's something about that what we're talking about today, and we're going to dive into in a moment, is very, very profound. So my friends, Lisa and Sarah, do you relate to that when you had that in the past, that nice client, and you just thought you did a good job, and it's like you never see them again. You wonder why.
Yeah. You can usually tell in their body language, though. They kind of get a little smaller. They get a little quieter. Hey.
Yeah. So something that is really, really interesting, when you change your physiology, you change your total energy. So think about this for a moment. Actually, we can all do this together. I just want you to round your shoulders. I want you to sort of breathe a little shallow. And I want you to have sad thoughts for a moment, just sad. Right? Now, if you had that same sad thought and you now lift your energy up, and you put your shoulders back and you smile, you've changed your energy here. You've changed your physiology. It's really hard to be depressed like this. And it's really easy to feel sad when we're like this. Now think about it. So many times when we're behind our chair, we can be in that stooped position. And I'm always, I see people on camera, because we do so many Zoom events, I'm always saying, raise your mannequin up, raise your client up, you're stooped, you're rounded, open up, you're looking at your work incorrectly. So I'm all about standing the correct way, having this open, real positive energy versus the weight of the world's on my shoulders. Well, you don't feel the same when you do that. Girls, do you relate to what I'm saying there? Does that make sense for you? Yeah.
Definitely.
So when you need a mindset shift, you've got to change your physiology first before you do anything else. And one of the exercises I love to do, I actually turn my shoulders back and I turn my palms towards the mirror. And when you do that, it actually opens you up even more. So I drop my hands to the side and I literally flip my hands towards the mirror and I've completely opened my energy. And it's an incredible thing to do. So, just a little thing there, a little bit of trivia, but it is important in terms of what you are getting from your clients and those nice clients. The danger of compromise. Certainty builds confidence. So we want to be mindful of where we're going with the just trim comment, because we can lose clients. So there are 3 ways to make more money. You came here today because you want to build your business, right? So there are 3 ways. More clients, which is pretty obvious. The second is offering more services in the salon and out on location. So what other services can you offer? Get creative here. What is your possibility thinking around that? And of course, increase your prices. So therefore, this all requires incredible confidence, and it requires knowledge and skill, and it requires strategy. But those are the only 3 ways a business can make more money: more clients, more services, increase prices. And that's such an important thing. So if you're taking notes, guys, take a note and start to ask yourself today, right, what can I do to get more clients if that's the strategy? Or, as Sarah said, a different type of client who values her on a whole nother level, and then increasing the prices. Everything's in alignment. So when we're doing our training and we're working with you, one of the first things I like to look at is your Instagram page. What's going on there? Because that is your brochure that has no boundaries. Is that brochure helping you or hurting you? Are you putting time into your Instagram, but you're not growing your following or converting your followers into clients? We don't want vanity matrix. Oh, you're so lovely. You're so lovely. We don't want that. We want the real deal. We want a client. We want to inspire that client, and we want that client to be valued, and we are always upping our game, right? So social media is a very important platform. So when I'm working with students, I want to make sure that their social media platform is in alignment with the work that they're doing, with how they have branded themselves this way, how you look, the space that you're working in. All of this has to be cohesive. If one of them is out, it's like that wheel that I was speaking about. You're doing beautiful work behind your chair, but you take really bad photos. You do beautiful work behind your chair, you're too busy for social. You do beautiful work behind your chair, but your space isn't as beautiful anymore as your work. Maybe at one time, your space was more beautiful than your work, but now your work's getting better and better and better. The space needs a facelift. Maybe your social media needs to go up higher and higher and higher. They all have to be cohesive. And I know for you, Sarah, that's been a very conscious approach. What have you learned from this?
So I'm actually working on my social media now. I was looking at your class, who is sitting in your chair and branding yourself. So, and I don't like to move on to the next thing until I finish what I start. So I am looking at my Instagram. I feel like it tells a couple of different stories, and I want to make it a little bit more about the hair versus my life. So I don't know if I need to have 2 different Instagram pages or not. I believe that everything, how we dress and how we look and how we do our hair and our makeup, the environment we create for our clients. What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Is it all in cohesion? So I'm very, very tuned into creating an experience for people that feels good, all of it. So like the whole package.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're working right now, it's super exciting, on a Instagram course, but we also have Patricia, who is our in-house coach on social media. So if any of you want to just book a call with Patricia, you can just go to our website and book a call and we can help you. So it's all good stuff. So I wanted to say this, if you are going to stay with me to the end, which I hope you will, I'm going to show you how to access a gift that I'm offering today. So why me? There's so many people to listen to out there, isn't there? And, you know, when I look at my career, it's been an extraordinary journey, from everything from playing with avant-garde to just very, very beautiful hair. I love creating strong images. I am as comfortable in a studio doing a photo shoot as I am working with a one-to-one client, coaching and teaching hairdressers. My goal is always to try and teach hairdressers not only strong technical skill, but a way of working with the hair and making sure it's always the right look on the right guest, and doing hairstyles that have that sense of fashion, but have that sense of absolutely being the right look on that right person. And so we have clients that, well, I always have attracted very edgy clients who are open to change because that's my personality. But I also appreciate classic, and I also appreciate avant-garde. So it's the right look for the right situation for the right person. So say you're thinking, Viv, I want to get into photo shoots, I want to get into editorial. I can help you. Or if you're saying, Viv, I just want to be more confident cutting short hair, I can help you. Viv, I look at somebody and I don't know if I'm doing the right look on that person, I can help you. Or I get lost in my haircut. I start and then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Or I still struggle making both sides the same. Or I'm scared to use the razor, Viv. What if I cut myself or the client doesn't like it? All of these things, we break them down into baby steps. And the important thing with anyone who wants to learn is that to be a master, you've got to put the time in. And being a master it requires time. This is not an Instagram moment. So it all comes down to one thing. When you are looking at your guest, what do you see? And how do you put the right look on the right person? So clearly I have a lady here that is more edgy and one who's more classic. So how do I not only interpret their hair, but how do I give them something that really is fitting their personality, fitting their lifestyle? Does this person feel like she's a bit of a rebel? So we've got one young lady who was truly a rebel and wanted to be different to everybody else. And the other one was very flirty and just wanted to walk into a room and stand out for the crowd. So it's the power of choice. And when you study and you analyze the power of choice and how you get there, that's what's really important, because you can undersell and oversell. You can have an idea of thinking, okay, well, I will do something like, you know, I'll come up with my winning haircut, my signature look, and I'll put it on everybody. Well, that's great while the signature look still exists. But my question is, the creativity that's attached to the technique. So for example, this is the same technique on two different people. One has a strong edge to it, one is more glamorous. So when we're looking at how we could take something, and this was from class, undone and relaxed, that beachy lived-in look versus polished and buttoned up. So I could lose a client or gain a client if I put them on the wrong person. So this is all about how we photograph our work and how we put that out there, how we educate ourselves, how we educate our clients. One thing I know today is that clients know their faces better than we do because they are taking so many photographs of themselves, right? So when we see the world through our own filter, when you look at this right now, I'm sure most of you would see that there are 3 posts on the floor. But when we look at it this way, from the other side, we can see that there are 4. So which is right? It depends on the filter in which you are looking at your work. So for example, if I'm a very undone, relaxed girl, I'm going to be looking at number 3. And if I'm polished and buttoned up and I like everything perfect and shiny and looking very expensive, then I'm a number 4. So every guest who sits in my chair, if I'm not expansive in my thought process, I'm going to put them all into the same box and miss great opportunities. And that's where the danger lies, because we stop being creative with the subtle thing like a rough powered blow dry versus done and buttoned up. Lisa, what does this mean to you? Because I believe you were in this class when we were doing this technique. You were, weren't you?
Yes. And I styled my own mannequin 3 different ways just to loosen myself up and get a feel for it. And oddly, I have one mannequin. I like her better when her part's straight down the middle. I've tried moving her part to the other side. Doesn't matter if she's straight, if she's wavy, if she's curly. I just don't like it. So it definitely opens up how you view things.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the power of this type of work. So how do you see? So for example, what do you see when you see this lady? Some of you may think, well, I'll just trim and do a color refresh. Some of you may think, well, I'm going to put her parting over to the side. Some of you may think, well, she's got a very, very strong jawline, so maybe I will do tuck one side behind her ear and try and disguise the jawline. Some of you may think, oh, she's a perfect candidate for hair extensions, and the beat goes on. So when we start to play with what you would do, that's the power of your imagination, the power of your creativity. Now, imagination and creativity are a muscle. And the more you flex that muscle, the more it has space. You have to give it space. So I always say you've got to have really strong technique that you can lean into. I know if I cut hair vertically, it's going to be light. I know if I cut hair horizontally, I'm going to build weight. I know if I do diagonal, I create roundness in my hairstyle. That's geometry. That will never, ever change, whether I do it with a thinning scissor, a razor, regular scissors, slither. You're either going up, you're going diagonal, or you're going horizontal. So that's the science of architecture. If you don't know how to map your focal points and know where to put the length in the right place according to face shape and according to getting that perfect balance, then you could get lost and drift off. Now, if you have all of that in check, you've checked it all off. Yep, done, done, done. Now I have room for creativity. Now I have the safety to let my imagination go wild. Now, what if you're the kind of hairdresser that is intuitive, which I love, and you come up with ideas, which I love, but sometimes you're not inspired, because to be inspired all the time at that level is almost impossible. We have highs and we have lows, and we have highs and we have lows within the creative process because it's emotion driven. So as an artist, we have facts, which is the science of beauty, facts, which is the science of architecture, the science of how hair falls. We have all that, the science of color, the science of perming. Those are sciences. But the emotion, the feeling, the ideas, the inspiration, they need a space, because you need time to go, okay. And we vogue around the face. I would never, ever work on anyone's hair without voguing around the face. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But voguing to me is my rehearsal to see shape around the face and look at, okay, what happens when I do certain things? I open and I close the face. What happens to the face? I'm always looking for oval. When I look at someone and I go, no ideas today, don't know where the brain is, it's probably still in bed. Lights are on, but nobody is home. I always go to the safety of, where's my oval? Where is my oval? And if I then lean into my 3 wheels of fashion, which we'll talk about in a moment, that brings my safety level up. And now ideas can start to move and groove. And sometimes I've worked on shows and shoots where maybe I've done 12 looks in a day, and each one has to be high, like 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. By the time I get to the 12th, it's like, whoa, I'm running out of ideas. I'm running out of time, and I've run out of energy. You know, maybe I've worked a 20-hour day, which is not unusual when you're living in the show world. There's nothing else left. And in that nothing else is left, the well is dry, boom, What I'm going to be sharing with you next all kicks back in, and all of a sudden you're rejuvenated again. And that's what makes that so powerful. So, you know, beauty is through the eye of the beholder. So this is what we do. Our number one thing is that we look at the three wheels of fashion. We look at face shape and we look at technique last, not first, last. I always put technique first. Now I put it last because I want to know how quiet or loud to make your hairstyle. I want to know how feminine or boyish to make you look. And I need to know where you live in fashion, because fashion today is all over the map. Today is about the individual making a statement. The individual has a voice. So today it's about, okay, where does she live in that fashion? So if she's rock and roll, is she a quiet rock and roll, or is she a screaming rock and roll? If she's rock and roll, is she glamorous rock and roll, or is she grunge rock and roll? I need to know that. That's the emotion. That's the feeling. That's the mindset of your client. You always design from the inside of the head before you go to the outside of the head. Always. Because that's personality. Personality is a lot bigger than this 1/7 of the body. The head is only 1/7. So this is a very small piece of real estate, but it's very powerful in terms of the impact of the total look. So this has been a game changer for me in my career. I look at who is sitting in my chair and I design from the inside to the outside. And I want to make sure that when I'm doing a style, in color, it happens so often. You think about something that's quiet and soft and the client's saying, yeah, but I can't really see it. They wanted more. So you underestimate it, or you make it very bold and you're saying, oh, well, it will fade. I hope. So we can underestimate that a lot, but it doesn't just apply to a hair color, a curl. Oh, I didn't think it was going to be that curly. You're looking at a client, you just permed her hair and she's this lovely poodle. I mean, when I was young, I had my hair permed and I said I wanted a body wave. I have to show you this picture one time. And I looked like a ginger hedge. It was so curly. It was a ginger hedge. I couldn't get a boyfriend. I couldn't even get arrested. I was so damn ugly. And I thought I was going to have a body wave. And I was that nice client. I went, oh, thank you so much. It's really nice. Run home. I can't, how do I get this out, right? So we've all been there. But when you can recognize it, you're always selling a value. And if you sell something that client doesn't want, you really are selling.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, if you educate the client and it's exactly where she lives, there is actually no selling that takes place because she understands. It's like if I was in a restaurant taking your order and you're a vegetarian and I'm trying to sell you this $50 steak that's like this premium steak. You don't care whether it's $100 steak that they're going to give to you. You're not interested in it. You're a vegetarian. So you've got to meet the client in the landscape where they live. That's where the value is. That's where the money is. When you try and sell versus serve, totally different. And if you don't believe you are worth what you are, then let me help you. If you don't believe what you are, fake it until you make it. If you don't believe it, nobody else will, because the law of manifestation, the law of energy, everything is energy. You put out the energy of insufficient and lack, what you focus on expands. So if you're thinking lack, or my clients won't do that, oh, I'm so busy, but I'm blah, blah, blah. You are in the lack mindset. You're not in the abundant mindset. So how do you make all of these changes? Well, they have to happen slowly. If I gave you this form today without any training, you would fail. So I wouldn't give it to you. That's why it's not out there for free, because it would disturb you. I have to make sure that whoever I play with, they want to learn, they want to grow. I want to play with people, whatever your level is, you have one thing. I want to get better. Viv, I want to raise my standards. You may be a bit wishy-washy about your goals. You think, well, I wouldn't mind coming and studying with you in person, but, or I wouldn't mind doing that. Well, there's lots of options. I'm a bit confused. Which one would I pick? The goals will come and go. But if you say to me, I just want to raise my standards, show me how I can do that, Now we're talking, now we're results driven. And that is very, very important. So this is where we plant ourselves. So here, for example, what do you see? It's fundamentally the same haircut with 3 totally different finishes: a flat iron, a round brush, and a curling iron. 3 totally different personalities, 3 totally different face shapes, but they all look equally as beautiful. So think about this. If I was going to be working with you and we were going to be saying, right, let's start upping your game in your chemical services in terms of your perms. Let's do that relaxed beach look. Okay, so that's sorted. Okay, in the color, obviously color today is all over the map and it's amazing. We love it. And there's so many low maintenance and high maintenance techniques. So that's always coming back to, you know, price point, clearly, because it's maintenance. But when you're looking at the haircut itself and the blow dry, there's so much diversity there. So how do you start to increase that value? So for example, if I took my rock and roll girl and gave her soft and pretty, she wouldn't enjoy that. She has gauges in her ears. She has tattoos. She likes edge. She's not about pretty. But the lovely lady who's wearing curl, she actually has a romance to her. So if I try and now sell her edge, it's not that she's resisting the price. I haven't met her in the landscape where she lives. It's nothing to do with the money. When you want something bad enough, ladies, you will rob Peter to pay Paul. You will find a way. Women are brilliant at figuring out how to take from one to the other. Are we not? Men don't think quite that way, which is fine. I think it's kind of good. But we are the kind of person that goes into a store, we get sidetracked, we buy 5 things, and the very thing we went in for, we've forgotten, and our cart is full, but it was $10, $20. This is on sale, that's on sale. We come out, we just spent $400. Only came in to buy one thing, which I've completely forgotten what that was. That's women for you, right? Do you agree, Sarah and Lisa? I think you would agree on that one, right?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, don't lie to yourself about your value. I think that's important. Sarah, what would you say around the value?
Well, and I actually just wrote it down when you're talking about serving versus selling. I mean, that is huge. I mean, those 2 words are completely different. They come from a completely different place. And so I would say I wrote it down. I'm super excited about that nugget.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I live it, but sometimes we need to define it.
Absolutely.
I feel like you just defined it for me.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
See, what I like to do is I like to teach more than a hairstyle. I like to teach patterns because I have patterns for success. When someone sits in my chair, I do not pick up my tools. I want to use my hands. I want to vogue around the face. I want to know where they live in fashion. I want to know their lifestyle. I go through my checklist of things. So now I can start to pick up on, yeah, if I push this a little bit more, she's going to dig it even more, right? If I push that a bit more, she's going to dig it even more. That makes it so exciting. So I had somebody that sat in my chair who was young, in her 20s, and a very bubbly personality. She filled out my consultation form and she said she liked glamour. And so I said to her, when I look at you with your blonde hair, I see sort of Gwen Stefani meets Marilyn Monroe. So we came up with this idea, cut her hair, really cute. Finished it, and I see a tear rolling down her cheek. And I think, oh my gosh, did I get this wrong? I'm freaking out inside thinking, oh, I screwed up. And I said, are you okay? And then she went like this, a little gasp. I thought, oh, she shouldn't punch me. Have I really screwed this up? It's like really starting to panic at this point. And she said, it is so beautiful. I went, oh, okay. And she said, you don't understand. I went, no, I clearly don't understand. She pulled back her sleeve and there was a tattoo, an entire tattoo of Marilyn Monroe. I didn't know it was there. She said, I feel like Marilyn. Now, that is powerful. A tattoo of Marilyn Monroe. I don't know it's there. I'm talking this whole thing. I'm using the cues that she gave me. I'm interpreting it. I'm trying to make it fresh, modern, young, blah, 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 blah. The client was very happy. So that's the power of when you get it right. And that's what's extraordinary. So what I like to teach is more than a hairstyle. I want to teach you patterns to success, because there are patterns. So whether it be through magazines or workshops, whether it be on photo shoots, these are the areas where I play, whether it be, a live event. I play in all of those areas, showing hairdressers patterns to success. And that is the key. And it's very, very different. You're not going to get this on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, because it's the psychology of what we do that makes it so, so powerful. So what do you do when you see your guest? Do you see 3 or 4, those posts we were speaking about? Do you see something where this lady, oh, she must have it undone, or no, that she must be polished and buttoned up? Remember, it's going to be a mirror of your beliefs. What you project, you will attract. I love diversity. So I don't want to just do one style on everybody. I love diversity. I love creativity. So this is a really good example that I'm going to share with you right now. This lovely lady came in to me, and she was asking for a new hairstyle. And these were her photo references. Now, these are great hairstyles, but for this particular lady, it wasn't appropriate, because she has volume in her jawline and thickness in her neck, but she wanted a totally different look. So while she was thinking this, I was thinking very, very different. So let's hear from Patricia. I've just had the honor of cutting Patricia's hair from long to short. Patricia, how do you feel about your new hairstyle?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It is not what I thought I would end up with. It's not what I envisioned me getting, but it is exactly what I want. So it became a surprise that is exactly what I want.
That's so wonderful. And how was the consultation for you?
The consultation went very well, because it was open. It wasn't closed. I didn't have to say what I wanted. You showed me different ways my hair could look, by moving it around, by pulling it up, by pulling it back, so I could begin to picture something other than saying to you, all right, I want my hair shoulder length, or I want my hair this way or that, because I didn't know what that would be. It wasn't until you started moving my hair around that I could picture what my hair could look like. And that's how we kind of did it together, and came up with an answer.
Well, I think you look stunning, and thank you for the honor of doing your hair.
Oh, thank you. It's just been so much fun, and I love it.
So when you look at how different the jawline is, when I was talking to Patricia, her biggest concern was her neck and her jawline. So obviously taking 14 inches off of her hair, and by the way, the first section I cut was at the ear, that is a little daunting. You better know what you're doing. And I will let the face shape be the dictator there. And that was the game changer. So one of the things I also like to train around, especially if you do a photo shoot workshop with me, is looking at how the camera sees your work. So many times when I work with hairdressers and I look at their Instagram page, they say, oh, don't judge my Instagram page. And I say, what, is your work better than the Instagram page? What's the story? And so many times people say, well, I just don't like how the hair photographs. So one of the things you have to understand is depth. And when you look at this hairstyle here and you look at the pear face shape, and how would you minimize the pear face shape? This is a conversation, of course, about length and width. How long is the hairstyle? How wide is the hairstyle? But most hairdressers don't look at depth. Now, when it comes to photographing your work, let me tell you this. When you are photographing your work, let me just go back for a moment to have this conversation. The camera doesn't see depth. It flattens every image. So you have to understand how the camera sees that. So this is something that we do courses around to train, to help people's Instagram page be more fabulous, how to take work that's like stops the scroll, how to stand out from a very, very, very crowded market. So there's an art to how you see. So what you see photographically is huge. Now, this is where Sarah and Lisa have been photo journaling their work. I give them a review on their work. Sarah, what did you learn from photographing your work during the class?
Oh my gosh, I learned a lot. I learned about lighting. I learned about angle. from where you shoot, whether it be above or below, to the side. I learned about background. I learned about dressing the mannequin, actually putting eyelashes on the mannequin as well. Like, I feel like it's like the devil is in the details. And when you're taking those pictures, you can tell when something isn't right. If there's clutter in the background, if there's glare, it's amazing. Like, those little details make the difference between a good photograph and a great photograph.
Yes, yes. Lisa, for you, photo journaling and getting the feedback, well, how's that helped your time in the salon and how you see your work in the mirror?
Well, often what I see in the mirror is not what I see in the photograph. And so it's taught me to pay more attention to detail. So everything that Sarah mentioned, but in addition to that, the hair itself, I can look in the mirror and I don't see that somebody's a little fuzzy on this side, or there's space on her shoulder where the hair was lying. I might not see that in the mirror, but if I take them outside, I have a background that shows everything. Now I'm paying attention to something a little more specific, a little more detailed, and that has helped me in my work.
Yes, because to me, the camera has always been my teacher, and that's the big, powerful thing, seeing length, depth, and width. So moving on, how many dollars are walking out of your door due to assumption? We touched on this earlier, but new guest retention, high-end salons retention is 30 to 40%, which is very, very low. So why is it that so few hairdressers get this aspect right? We've mentioned the consultation, and it does begin there. That is your gatekeeper. Not knowing how to design to a face shape is, you're doing yourself a disservice. So to start to increase your value, the first point of entry into upping the price of your services is the consultation. And you're also adding another service. So it's not just that it's better, it's that it is an add-on, it is different, and it's how you position that, knowing the face shape and having that consultation. Designing to personality. This is the same goal with two totally different looks. Designing to personality. Understanding where the client lives in fashion. Again, this is the same goal with totally different looks. Where does she live? And now these are wigs. And by the way, we're actually going to be hosting a wig workshop for hairdressers who want to dive into fashion, or hairdressers who now want to add another service, which is wigs. And, if you think about it, if you add a new service, i.e. wigs, to your arsenal, my goodness me, you could be adding another 20,000 to your year just by doing that. And so that's the power of gorgeous, gorgeous wigs. Here again, these are wigs, and the client gets to see how she looks very, very sensual, right? So in my consultation, we're looking at the sensuality. We're looking at the fashion. We are looking at designing to personality, so that as we go through the personality, the fashion, the sensuality of that look, tough versus very soft and romantic, we then get into voguing around the face. And a mistake is the lack of voguing around the face, to know how to take our before shot and transform into something else. Sarah, for you, voguing around the face, how has that changed what you do? Oh.
Hello. I feel like it gives me confidence, and it gives the client confidence, So, and it gains more understanding for me and for the guest.
Yes, yes. Lisa, I know voguing around the face is new because you're newer in the program, but are you starting to, is it help visualize where the parting should be, how full or small the hairstyle should be?
It helps everything. And it also helps the guest, because you can see that moment of recognition in the guest's eyes as you're moving around her face. And if you make a suggestion and you can just see the light pop on, and they're like, oh, I like that. Yes, let's do that.
Yes, absolutely. And with Patricia, when I cut her hair from her shoulders, and she thought she was going to have a shoulder length hairstyle to above her ears, the reason that she said yes was because I vogued. And when she saw that, she says, whoa, that was pretty amazing. And I have been so busy with my work, I've not been able to, I've cut Patricia's hair a few times, but just recently I've not been able to because of my work schedule. So I recommended her out. She's been so disappointed. Someone put a box on top of her head. It was like, oh no. She said, you've got to help me. You've got to help me. I went, okay, I will. I'll bring you back into my nest again. But you know, there again, the haircut was actually quite nice, but it was a box on her head. So she said, I'm wearing a box. I went, you are indeed. But it's a very nice box. So when we're looking at creativity, when you know how to verbalize your ideas and be creative, it just opens up so many doors. So this is so simple. It's just long hair. I just tied it in knots. But it just makes you stop and look for a moment and go, oh, that's really kind of cute. What a nice idea on hair that has no texture and no volume. But what she did have was hair extensions. So it was like, okay, so what can we do to just make her look a little bit more interesting? Now she's got just this straight hair. So it's the little things. Also, the mistake of how to verbalize. So with this lady, she was not an easy lady to work with at all. I had a language barrier and she did not want her hair cut short, but I looked at everything from the makeup, everything looked wrong to me. And she looked hard. She didn't look soft. So when I took her here, the first thing I wanted to get rid of was the tadpole eyes because they were just so hard, and soften her up and make her look more glamorous. So my language was about romantic, soft, sexy. It was to take her away from the harshness of her before shot into here. So again, it's not just focused on the hair, it's more than that. The single most important thing for you to become the hairdresser you've always wanted to be, as I said before, is that consultation. It is the 3 laws of compensation. You've got to look at your skill. What are you doing every day to raise your standards? Number 2, what are you doing that is in demand, or you can create the demand? So for example, if you're in a marketplace where easy, relaxed living is the thing, then wash and wear is going to be fantastic. So that would be where I'd be saying to you, right, if you've got clients that want wash and wear, let's get into some really great, adorable little haircuts. Let's find your signature looks and let's get perming them where it's appropriate so she can wash and she can wear. So it is so easy. And let's not do like the conventional perm. Let's innovate and be creative. So we have all of that, and therefore we create the demand because it's wash, wear, and simple. So on social media, what are we saying? We're messaging easy. Get out of bed, spray your hair, off you jolly well go. Wash, wear. From the pool to the cocktail party, wash and wear. You can be so creative on tips, on stories, on visuals, showing a wash and wear hairstyle 3 different ways. You can be so innovative. It's amazing. Now you may be saying, well, Viv, I don't have time for social media. You have to find someone that can do it for you then. And regarding you don't have time, what about if your best client, your most photogenic clients booked at the end of the day? What if you just did 1 a week and you said, that client, come in at the end of the day, camera ready, nice little outfit on, love to take photographs, I've got gorgeous lighting, blah, 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 blah. What would that do for your business? It was just once a week. What would it do for your business if you ask your client to go to that place where you've got lovely lighting in your salon and she takes a few selfies and she sends them to you? What if you put a post in your bathroom and said, I'm looking for someone to help me with social media, and you barter and you do an exchange? You provide them the images and then they create. There's so many ways you can get around. We can find plenty of reasons why not to, and we can find plenty of reasons why we can. Because if you want to create the demand, you've got to go out there and let people know that you do this. Otherwise, you're talking to yourself. So demand is very important. And then final one within here is the cost to replace you. If you are doing what everybody else can do, the value drops down. There's something special. Sarah does beautiful work, but the care and the love that she gives her guests, it can't be found anywhere else. Lisa, caring, compassionate, diving into the mindset of her guests, trying to meet them where they live, elevating what she's doing. That's intentional. They have immersed themselves in elevating. That's what they have actually done. And that's where the power is. So you've got to think about those 3 laws of compensation and how that plays for you. So a special opportunity in which I can help you craft your story. The first thing is we have to come up with a vision, because without a vision, you're not going to be successful. And we do know that within there, we need to create habits, patterns that take you towards your end goal. So we all have a story of our life. You know, your story may be, I work so hard, I'm so busy, I have no time for this, and that may be your story. But maybe you have a different story. The goal is to get you to the story that you want so you can live the life that you want to live, which is progress and happiness. You see, people who have progress in their life are so much happier than those that don't have progress. So my mantra is we raise your standards every day. Let's go back to the vision of who you are as a hairdresser, where you want to go. And now let's create habits, systems, strategy to take you there. Hard to do it by yourself, much easier to do it with a group of like-minded people who are there. So my training saves decades, I promise you. You don't have to wait 3 decades to get the result. And what I do know is I work with people so many times and they say, oh gosh, if only I'd known this years ago, because I can accelerate your learning. If I teach you the right habits and the right patterns that have worked for me and still do, then if I teach you those, I'm going to accelerate. So you could go off right now and do it all by yourself, but I guarantee it'll be slower. When you have support, when you have someone coaching you, guiding you, then you're going to have an accelerated learn. And we all need that. You know, when you have a coach in your life, I see people that work with me and then they don't work with me for a while and then I meet up with them again. I can see where they're flat planing, where they've dropped, and in some areas where they have elevated. But it's wonderful when you've got somebody saying in your corner, you can do it. Come on, push you a little bit harder. You can do it. You can do it. So Sarah, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, I definitely am a seeker. So if I am feeling a certain way negatively about my life, I will assess and I will find someone who will, excuse me, help me, you know, through the process. And I feel like being open is the first. You have to be open. You know, if you want to improve your life in any way, you have to be open to receiving the gifts that you have to give. You know, like you have so many gifts, Vivian. And when I took your class, it was like, I'm going to be a sponge. I'm just going to absorb everything you have to give me. And of course, I can't retain everything, you know, but with practice, then you do. You know, when you practice the things that you share with us, and then we practice it, the more we practice it, the more it becomes our way of doing hair.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what I do know about this, guys, is that you do have 2 options today. So the option, first of all, would be to take this information and please do take it and go off on your own and just take something from today. I don't care what it is, something from today and make a shift, because that's the first way of saying to yourself, a little elevation. I'm going to apply it right now, Viv. I'm going to. Obviously, if we work together, I can accelerate all of your learning. I can help you achieve your goals. And just like with Lisa and with Sarah, help you grow exponentially, financially and creatively. Because we have to look at, are you the block to your financial growth? Is it your mindset that we need to work on? Is it that we need to look at the way that you are choosing the hairstyles for your guests? If we chose them in a different way, you would have more buy-in. Is that why? So we have to look at that. And obviously a presentation like today, this is a deep dive, right? So I would love to share with you how I can help you. And that's the most important thing here. I want to bring clarity to your world. And, you know, I've devoted my life to learning and to studying and being the best version of myself. So when I looked at my hairstyles, I thought, well, I've got to show you in diagrams how to map the hairstyle so that you don't fiddle and fuss at the end. You get the right look the very first time. So all of these are to bring clarity and to get the results quicker because it's mapped out for you. Very often I get hairdressers coming to me saying, Viv, I'm really scared of the razor. I understand why. And I remember when I was scared of the scissors too. But there's a method, there's a technique, and we work very gently, very mindfully into the world of razor cutting. I want you to feel passionate. I want you to feel creative. I want you to be more desirable by your clients. I want you to have confidence that grows. I want you to have happiness. That's so important, happiness. And what I can do is I can break down this whole process I'll guide you through a proven system that nobody in our profession is using. And the results are really, really powerful. The confidence and the creativity to put the right look on the right person, how to stand out from your competition. My best kept secret is the consultation system, which has helps to retain clients and increase referrals. Hang out with other successful stylists. Hang out with Lisa and Sarah because they're a whole lot of fun, and there's many more like that. William is here, a lot of fun. Colette, so much fun. Kim is here, another dynamic, fabulous lady. They're already in the program. So intimidation and frustration, is that something that will go away? If you have that deep within you, no, but we can control it and we can manage it. And certainly boredom will be a thing of the past. So this is how my method works. You watch the videos, you join a live class, and then you get feedback. It's that simple. Watch video, join my live, feedback on your work. And that's where it's amazing. So during the live, I get to see people working and in action. I get feedback on their work. This is Sarah's beautiful hairstyles here. Fantastic job that she did on her mannequins. And we have this huge library of information that you can constantly go to. So, you know, I've worked with clients where it's been anything from 5,000 to 20K. I mean, I have done that, and it's been super, super powerful. I have obviously a tremendous amount of experience, whether it be behind the scenes or working with magazines. My whole goal is to accelerate your learning. What's important is I show you how to climb the ladder to success. And I can check, it's fascinating. This is really amazing. I can have somebody come in, whether it's a coaching call, one-to-one, whether they come in here to my studio, whether I see them on a screen. It's all the same thing in terms of connecting. I listen and I look. And I could tell you and put money on it. This person is going to go up here because they're hungry and they're a good listener, and they'll do it. They will do it. I can see somebody that wants to do it, but that elastic band is going to snap them right back here. Oh, sorry, I couldn't come to class today, Viv. I got so busy. Oh, sorry, Viv, I couldn't come to class. I really want to. They're the kind of person who buys a book and never reads it. They're the person who signs up for the gym because they want to get in shape, but they only go once. So the desire is there, but the why and the hunger is not big enough. So I always say to people, if you want it bad enough, I can help you and transform you, but I can always see how people's habits are like this elastic bag. They will spring them back and spring them back. So I have a strategy for climbing this ladder. I have people say, well, can I do it faster? Yeah, you could. You won't get the same result. You could. And then you'll be back in a few months' time saying, oh, I'm not seeing the results I wanted. Well, of course you're not. How could you? What you put in is what you're going to return. So there's no magic bullet. This is not TikTok, as much as I like it. This is not Instagram, as much as I like it. This is a system that works, that produces incredible results in people's lives. And that's what makes this super, super special. And that's why I really enjoy helping people. So who remembers about the gift that I told you about at the beginning of the webinar? The first 3 people to sign up today for a coaching call. We will make sure that you get this lovely little book on the 7 reasons why you may not have built the clientele that you really, really want. Anyway, that's for the first 3 people. What we want you to do is book a call. And what we'd like to do is in this call is listen to you, find out where you are, where you want to go. So if you are here and you want to go here, what's in this gap that's stopping you? Is it that you need more strong technical? I saw in the chat, we had somebody saying, oh, Lisa, biggest challenge is photographing work. You can learn how to do that. We can help you. Wherever you are and wherever you want to go, you've got to have the vision, and you've got to understand that from here, we're going to chisel away at habits that don't work, and we're going to then replace them for habits that do work to get you those results. But clearly, you need to show up. So I encourage you, book a coaching call. The first 3 people that book a coaching call, I will personally speak with you. So get busy there, right? Take that information. And I think we can just also put that in the chat. Oh, lovely. It's just been popped in the chat, so you can take that. So let's find out where you are, and let's find out where you need to go, because there's nothing more rewarding than to see beautiful people like Lisa and like Sarah and Colette and William, who is here, and Kim, all growing. It is so gratifying. It's so rewarding. And it's not just the technical. It's not just the creative. It is the financial. You know, I know very famous hairdressers who charge, you know, $500 for a haircut. I know a particular one who charges $2,500 for a haircut. I know all those levels. I could pick up the phone right now and call any of those people. I know them well. I know millionaires, multi-millionaires that I've known since they had very little to having a lot. What is their mindset? First of all, they have a passion for learning, passion. They are knowledge seekers. The next thing is they'll do whatever it takes to grow. When they fail forward. They stand up and go, ooh, that didn't work. Try it again. Those who charge high tickets for their clients, their services, they believe they're worth it. They absolutely believe they're worth it. I had a client ask me regarding a photo shoot. And they said, what's your day rate? I looked at what the job was. I went over the whole thing. I said, for that job, it will be $5,000. I'm worth it. Not only did I do the job well for the client, I practiced. I made sure I was on target. The client was very worried that it would go into overtime, and overtime in the studio is time and a half. And not only did we not go into overtime, I finished half an hour before the shoot should have ended. Now that's a miracle, because that doesn't always happen. But I knew that I could deliver and be worth it. So what do you believe you're worth? What are you prepared to do to invest in you, to be the very best version of you? Fall in love with who you become on the journey. It's the most incredible experience of joy. And when people come to me through some of our weekly trainings that we do, it's a goal to build their portfolio and build their brand. Every time they take a photograph, if they get it right, that's a photograph now that could be put out there socially, whether it be on a mannequin or a human being. I always say these classes, when you show up with me, like next week, we're doing a 2-day boot camp in long hair styling next Sunday and Monday. That will do the hairstyle together, photograph it. Hairstyle together, photograph it. My goal is at the end of those 2 days, those students who are in my class working with me, this is all virtual from the comfort of your kitchen or your gorgeous lounge, you'll be able to build a portfolio from classic to more progressive. So it's, you know, it's what you put into it. Now you can come up with all the reasons, well, Viv, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. Those are excuses. This is you, this is your life. You have to invest in you. And I think that's the most important thing I can say. So with my lovely friends here, anything that you would like to say as an inspiration or encouragement to our lovely friends who've joined us today? Sarah first.
Okay, so last week I came across this quote. So, you know, I love my quotes. So it is, you don't get results by focusing on results. You get results by focusing on the habits and behaviors that produce results.
Beautiful. So well said.
I
we
thought
love
was good
it.
for today.
Oh, that's wonderful. Lisa, anything that you'd like to share with our friends today to encourage them? We may have some very young stylists. We may have senior stylists here. We've got salon owners here. We have independents. We also have teachers here. So we've got a lovely broad range. What would you say to them today?
I can't say enough of the benefits I've received so far. And I've finished term 2. So I have 3 terms left. 10 weeks into the class, I raised my prices. None of my clients pushed back. They just said how much. And most likely I'll raise my prices again in October. I feel as though your education clicks for me. And even though it may seem like it's a long timeline, it actually isn't. And you gain so much knowledge. It elevates your game. It gives you your creativity back. It gives you back, as Sarah said, joy behind the chair, happiness behind the chair. Whatever motivated you to become a hairstylist, this will expound that. And it isn't, oh, why can't I? It should be, why not? Why not do this for yourself? And you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your guests. And if I had had access to you, Vivian, when I was first licensed, who knows where I'd be. But I know where I'm going. I know where I want to go. And this is getting me there. And so try it. You won't be disappointed. And give it everything you can. So it is a little bit of a time commitment. And yes, we are all busy, but time management, give something up. What do you want? Do you want a new car? Well, is that not in your budget? So you figure out what you can take out of your budget to get there. And it's the same with time. 10 hours a week in the big picture, that's nothing. If you're going to spend 2 hours a day on social media, well, there's your 8 hours right there, or 14 hours. You can cut back. You'll find a way. And it's worth every moment, and it's worth every dollar.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful to have watched you both flourish and be successful, and you're an inspiration to our industry. So we need more bright lights like you. And for youngsters watching, you want to make sure that you build your legacy. You build something that has a wonderful exit strategy too. And you want to make sure that you are depositing value in other people's lives. You sell happiness behind your chair. And if you're not loving the path and loving the journey, first of all, look at it. Is it attitude or aptitude? You've got to take a hard look at self, because you're the only one that can control that. You know, things will come in our lives that are good and not so good, ups and downs. There's much we can't control in our life, but we can control how we respond to that. I'm going to give you one cute little story as we close out of here. My barn is really beautiful. Sarah's been here, and I had guests coming, and I had a big pile of mulch outside my beautiful barn doors. So mulch is not a really good welcoming thing to have. My gardener did not arrive. He promised, he didn't show up. Then he said, oh, I'll come at the end of the day. He still hadn't shown up. And I got this huge pile of mulch, and I'm thinking, well, I better get the wheelbarrow out and move it. And I thought, I couldn't control that he wouldn't show up. I couldn't control those elements. So now I'm out there. My husband's chilling out in bed because it's now late. And I'm now resenting, because my husband knows I'm down there at the mulch pile. And I'm thinking, why does he not come and help me? Well, he's tired and his back hurts. So it's a good reason. I'm now doing it. So I started to build this pity party of resentment. And I went, whoa, I have a choice right now to move this mulch in joy, listen to the birds and the peacock and the chickens and everything else that's going on out here, and enjoy it and think this is a great workout. Or I'd be so angry with my gardener, so angry with my poor husband. It wasn't his problem, it was my problem. So angry about it all. So I started to shovel this mulch. So I shoveled 3 yards of mulch, right? And I wheeled it off, and I'm like wobbly woo, and I started to laugh, and I looked at the sky, I looked at the clouds, and I just thought, this is awesome. I was on my last wheelbarrow, and the gardener arrives. It's now 8 o'clock. And he's almost got tears in his eyes. I'm so sorry I let you down. I'm so sorry. La, 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 la. I said, well, thank you for coming. It's okay. And I said, well, maybe you can just finish up a little tiny bit, like leaf blow or something, you know, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. Anyway, we got the job done. But I was conscious of my mindset shift. I was conscious to go, I can really now make this worse than it really is. And at the end of the day, it's just moving mulch, for goodness sake. And I'm fit. So just get your butt out there and just do it, right? Or have a positive attitude about it. So it applies to that difficult guest. When it's a difficult guest, I remove myself for a moment, take a few deep breaths, and try and let the emotion subside before I make a decision. I will always do that. Whether it's a difficult guest, I will go in and say, how can I serve you better? What can I do to make you happy? It's not about me. Take me out of it. I just become hands that just, what did I miss? So now afterwards I can go, what did I miss about that? What was the reason that that went wrong? What was it? Now there I can do my work. And what I'll tell you is never forget the lesson. There's always a lesson when things go wrong. That elastic band, when it stretches you and snaps you back, there's a great lesson in there. Forget the pain of the snap, but don't forget the lesson. And that's where your growth is. And every day you've got to say to yourself, what can I do better? So tomorrow I challenge you to make your bed better than you made it today. And on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for today. Thank you guys for being part of today. And we send you lots of love. And I look forward to seeing you come into my world so that we may serve you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being with me. Thank you for getting up early. You are gorgeous and beautiful. Sarah, my little star, thank you. Thank you for being a light in my life. I love you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the blessings. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.